guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are heading back to the Woodbury County Courthouse here in Iowa, Sioux City, Iowa that is, to fight a 5-over speeding ticket that I received back in the beginning of September. A little backstory on that: I was headed home from picking up some lunch with my oldest boy, coming down a hill, a pretty decent sized hill about 2 blocks from my house. And go figure, the cops are sitting at the bottom of the hill. Nice of them, right? So it pulls me over. I'm actually pulled into my driveway. I was so close, I wasn't pulling over on the side of the street. Pulled over in my driveway, gets out, I was going 40 and a 25. Said, I don't think I was speeding. He said he was going to give me a ticket for 5 over. What a nice guy. And I asked to see the radar, and he refused. He said he didn't have to show me the radar. He said I'd have to show up in court if I wanted to see the radar. So now we're heading to court, and we're kind of sharing that experience with you guys. I've never been to court before or fought a traffic ticket, so figured we'd see what the whole process is. We already had to show up once at the end of September, which I thought was going to be the whole deal, but it wasn't. All that was is to plead guilty or not guilty. I pled not guilty. They gave me a date a month out, and now we are to that date today. So we're going to head back and see what the outcome is, plead my case, and see how it all plays out. So we will be sharing all the details with you, so stay tuned. So guys, after the trial for the 5-over speeding ticket, I can confirm that you should not fight a 5-over speeding ticket. I arrived at the courthouse and sat outside of the courtroom for a few minutes, and the prosecuting attorney came out and spoke with me. He basically told me that if we went to trial, that they were going to prosecute it for the 40 and a 25 instead of the 5-over, and that I could plead not guilty, change my plea at that point in time. And I told him no, that we would go ahead and go to trial. So we went into the courtroom for about an hour, went through that whole process. They had videotape footage of me speeding, supposedly. The videotape that they showed did not have any speed or radar readings on the screen. It was just the front camera on the police car showing me supposedly coming down the hill, speeding, and then going another couple blocks and pulling into my driveway. And then on the camera, when he got out of the car, he had audio, so you could hear him talking to me. And I told him that I didn't know he was pulling me over. I didn't think I did anything wrong. And then you can hear me also asking to see the radar reading, and he multiple times said that I would have to go to court to see that. All the way up until the end, they did not provide any proof of that radar reading. But when I asked that for my closing statements, then they asked the officer one more time, and miraculously he's like, oh yeah, I took a video of that after the stop. So there was a short video showing him recording his LiDAR gun, which is the laser gun, and it said 38 miles per hour. Whether that truly was of me, that's yet to be seen. I mean, it was 10 minutes after he had pulled me over, so. But pretty much the judge sided with the police officer with all the evidence of video footage that they provided. I did finally get to see the recording of the LiDAR, but unfortunately that cost me another $80. So instead of a $89 ticket, it was $179. So lesson learned. Got to see the whole process of a traffic ticket courtroom battle, and it just did not go in my favor. So if you think that the police officer may not show up, or they won't have enough evidence to convict you, you better make sure that you have some solid proof. The main thing that I went to it for was because the officer refused to show me the radar. If he would have showed me the radar when I asked, just showed me the gun, said 38, I would have said okay, fine, paid the 5-over ticket, and wouldn't have wasted my time with any of this. But since he refused to do that, I wanted to see some kind of concrete proof. I believe they showed that, unfortunately, and now I have to pay a 40 and a 25 ticket, $179. But hopefully this video was enlightening for you and kind of gives you an idea of how the whole process works, at least in the county, Woodbury County of Iowa. So I'm sure it's different all over the country, but for Iowa, this is how it plays out. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. So if you guys want to stay tuned here, I have the full audio of the courtroom. You can listen to it. I don't have any video of it, but it's all audio. It's about 45 minutes long. So feel free to stick around and listen to the audio of the officer being put on the stand and ask questions, and me trying to defend myself, which probably didn't do the greatest job, but I'm not a lawyer. So please hit subscribe and like this video if it gave you any info to help you out with possibly fighting a ticket. So lesson learned, don't fight a 5-over ticket. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, we're here this morning in the case of City of Sioux City versus Nicholas J. Cook, Woodbury County case number SCSTA 0202453, charge of speeding. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cook, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right. Any opening statements on behalf of the city?
No, Your Honor, just a pretrial matter. Then, as is customary for speeding ticket cases, the city would move to amend the citation to charge the defendant with operating his motor vehicle at a speed of 40 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, which would then elevate the range to 11 to 15 over. The city did advise the defendant prior to the court taking the bench here today to do so.
Mr. Cook, any comments with respect to the city's motion to amend the charge to 40 and a 25?
If that's procedure and required, then I'm okay with that.
All right, the city's motion to amend is granted. The defendant now stands charged with speeding 40 in a 25 mile an hour zone.
Also, just a note, there's a short in this multimedia cord, and right now I've got it working real nice, so I'm not going to be repositioning anything so that we can maintain that functionality there, I guess.
And if I didn't mention it, the matter is being recorded, so folks should be aware of that. Okay, Mr. Cook, I don't think I asked you, do you have any opening statements?
Well, I don't know if this is the time where I do my opening statement, but I'm going to read this, what I jotted down here. Whether it's the right time or not, I'm not sure. I honestly don't believe I was speeding. I was returning home after grabbing lunch. It was a Taco Tuesday, actually. My oldest son requested tacos. Tuesday was his day off since the schools were still in the hybrid learning option. I was discussing some homework he had in one of his classes when I made my way down the South St. Aubin hill. So it was at it's a pretty decent sized hill there. I don't know if you're familiar with it, and then turned onto that Y intersection onto Sargent Road. I did see flashing lights before my turn onto Lincoln Way, which is pretty close to my house. At that time, I didn't believe I'd done anything wrong. I thought he was after, I think it was a Dodge pickup of some kind in front of me. So I think they have video, but I actually pulled over and then went around that Dodge pickup because I thought he was after him. I wanted to get out of the way. So honestly, I didn't think I had done anything wrong at that time. Then I just turned on Lincoln Way and pulled into my residence. And then he was there and pulled out and informed me that I had been speeding. I had asked the officer, the main reason that I'm here today is I had asked the officer to see the radar, and he said that he couldn't do that. He couldn't show that to me. He said I'd have to show up in court to see that radar reading. And initially I didn't want to sign the ticket because I thought I was pleading guilty at that time. So you'll see that in the video, I think, too, that I didn't want to sign the ticket because I didn't want to be pleading guilty because he wouldn't show me the radar. So after that, I signed the ticket, and then I came here to hopefully see that radar reading. That's all I got.
Very well. We'll proceed with evidence. Evidence on behalf of the city.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city calls Officer Jeff Dimitri.
Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat. Officer, would you please spell your first name and then your last name?
First name is Jeffrey, Jeffrey. Last name is Dimitri, Demetri, and I am a junior.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good morning, officer. What is your occupation?
I'm a patrol officer with the Sioux City Police Department.
How long have you been an officer for Sioux City?
Since August of 2014.
Did you take your training at the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy?
I did.
And were you so employed as a police officer for Sioux City on September 1st of 2020?
Yes.
At approximately 11:42 a.m. on that date, were you on duty?
I was.
What type of duty were you performing?
A routine patrol. I was doing some stationary radar with a 2600 black South Iowa.
And at approximately that time, was your attention drawn to a white Ford Explorer with a South Dakota license plate of W as in whiskey, U as in uniform, N as in November, 80?
Yes, I was.
What drew your attention to that vehicle?
Initially, my radar unit, I had it set at stationary closing, meaning I was picking up vehicles that were closing at me while my vehicle was stationary. It was indicating a vehicle was traveling at 40 and a 25. There were other vehicles in the area, but I had mine set to fast, which gave me the fastest reading. And I observed that Explorer catching up to a group of cars that were in front of it.
So, do you have training and experience judging speed without the use of radar?
We do.
And when you observed this vehicle, did it appear to you like it was going faster than other cars around it?
Yes.
And is that when you noticed the operation of your radar unit?
At that time, I grabbed my LiDAR unit, which is a separate unit from the stationary radar, and I triggered it on his vehicle. And at that time, it read 38 and a 25. That's 769 feet.
Okay, what is LiDAR?
LiDAR is a device we use. It helps us hone in on a single vehicle. In a 1,000 feet distance, it gives us a 3-foot diameter, and it's generally right on the license plate.
So it's a laser?
Yes.
So you're able to project the laser beam to a particular singular vehicle. And have you had training in the use of radar and LiDAR?
Yes.
And in the course of your duties, you had that training?
Yes.
And you successfully completed that training?
I did.
And did you test both your radar and your LiDAR units prior to this incident?
Beginning of the shift, yes.
And did it pass those functional and operational checks?
Both of them did.
And did it pass the checks to indicate that the unit was operating normally?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, and that was for both units?
Yes, it was. Both units.
So when you noticed the vehicle and your radar unit gave you an indication, and then you used your LiDAR unit to confirm the exact vehicle, what happened next?
At that time, I did put my car in drive, and as safely as I could, I got in behind it because he did take that U, and there was several cars at that intersection at the time. I initiated my traffic lights. I got in behind the vehicle, and as I attempted to pull him over, as he said, he thought I was going for the car in front of him, but he could continue to go. At that time, I honked my horn to indicate that I was wanting him to pull over.
Did he respond?
Not that I could tell. I don't know if he didn't know or what, but then he took a westbound turn on Lincoln Way and pulled into what I later determined was his driveway. And at that point, obviously, he was stopped.
So he went all the way home, and you
Yeah.
never did really stop him on the street?
No.
Okay, so, but you did catch up with him?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then at that time, tell the court what happened next.
At that time, I did identify myself as Officer Dimitri. I think initially I said, "What happened there? Like, why weren't you pulling over?" He told me he just didn't know it was for him. His son was with him. His son got the food, and I let the son go inside. I wasn't too concerned about the son bringing food inside. We had a quick banter about his speed. He did acknowledge to me that he didn't believe he was going that fast. I went back to my vehicle, ran his information to make sure there didn't be warrants or anything like that. His wife did come out, and I allowed the wife to speak to him at his driver's side door. When I reapproached with the ticket, I did decide to give him a 5-over ticket, which is generally what I do. I try to give people breaks.
Well, let's stop there and back up just a little
Okay.
bit, okay? So, he said, you testified just now that he told you he didn't believe he was going that fast?
Yes.
How fast did you say he was going?
I told him I had a 40 and a 25.
Okay, and so you said it's in a 25 zone. Is that stretch of street where you detected him, is that posted for a speed limit of 25?
It is.
Where is that posted?
There's one going north and southbound that's posted on both sides of the street.
Okay, and then...
I couldn't tell you the exact block where it's at. I just know they're there.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge and your experience on that stretch of street, was the point where you detected detected this vehicle, okay, was that within the 25-mile-per-hour zone?
Yes.
As posted?
Yes.
And then you were talking about making contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle. Is the driver of the vehicle in the courtroom today?
He is.
Would you please point out that person? Is it the gentleman seated across the table from
It
me?
is.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
Record will show.
Okay, so then let's go back. Okay. You said he didn't want to sign the citation. Is that what you testified to?
After, I hadn't quite got to that part yet. As I reapproached with the ticket is when he became a little bit more disgruntled about the ticket.
Okay, describe that to the court, please.
He had concerns about the speed he was actually traveling. He wanted to see the evidence I had. I told him, I don't show that unless you go to court.
Is that customary?
Yes.
Okay. Where would it have been shown, I guess, in a manner?
If I wanted to show him, would have had to bring him back to my car, which for me is an officer safety concern.
Do you have a policy about that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so basically you made a judgment
Yeah.
based on your own safety not to bring anybody back to your car. I think that's what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you tell him about that?
I advised him that I set him a court date, and if he wants to see any evidence I have, he could show up to the court date.
Okay. And, okay, so what happened next?
He still didn't want to sign the ticket. I explained to him several times that he wasn't admitting guilt. He was just acknowledging to the judge that he's either going to pay his fine or go to court. At one point, his wife was on the porch, and she wanted me to repeat it for her cell phone footage, and I didn't see a problem with that. I went ahead and repeated what I said. That by signing the ticket, he's not admitting he's guilty. He's just telling the judge he's going to pay his ticket or show up to his court date. And at that time, I think he did change his mind, and he did decide to sign the ticket.
And then after he signed the ticket, I guess, did he provide the usual documents, so driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance?
He had given me all the paperwork I needed before I went back to my vehicle for the first time.
Okay, understood. Okay. So, then subsequent to this traffic stop, did you test your radar and LiDAR units again for functionality?
I do every morning before my shift.
Okay, and did you test those units again subsequent to this traffic stop?
I did not do that for my shift.
Okay, but at some point, did you test it again?
Yep.
And how did the systems check out?
Fine.
So there was no malfunction in the system either between the time that you had tested it before this traffic stop to the time you tested the units again following this traffic stop. Is that accurate to say?
That's accurate.
Okay, and do you know whether or not those units, the radar unit and the LiDAR unit, are certified for operation by peace officers?
They are.
Excuse me, just a minute. How's that LiDAR spelled, please?
It's LIDAR.
Thank you.
Sorry, Your Honor, thanks. you know, and from the time you observed the vehicle for the first time until you made contact with the defendant in his driveway, did you ever encounter any obstructions or any distance or any sort of time where you would have lost sight of that vehicle?
No.
And so you testified about issuing a citation, and what did you issue the citation for?
I gave him a ticket for 1 through 5 over.
And how come you wrote it for that amount?
It's just my decision. I try to use my own discretion. If I remember correctly, he didn't have he had a couple speeding tickets prior, but not a lot. So I cut him a break for that.
And it's customary to use some discretion?
Yeah,
And were you in full uniform that day?
I was.
And were you operating a fully marked and fully operational police vehicle?
I was.
Was that vehicle equipped with video and audio recording equipment?
Yes, it was.
And was that equipment functioning normally and accurately on that day?
It was.
And did that equipment record this traffic stop?
It did.
And have you had an opportunity to review that recording prior to trial today?
Yes, I have.
Is that recording a fair and accurate representation of the traffic stop you performed on Nicholas Cook on September 1st, 2020 at approximately 11:42 a.m.?
That's correct.
Your Honor, the city would like to publish exhibit video that is on a USB drive that will soon be marked as city's exhibit number 1 for identification.
Very well, please proceed.
And officer, where are we at this point?
I'm currently sitting in the 2800 block of South St. Alban. The intersection of Sergeant Road is right to the left there at the bottom of the screen, in the middle of the screen.
And will you be able to tell the court when the defendant's vehicle comes on screen?
Yeah. I took my glasses off so they didn't log up, so give me a second. It's the white Explorer that's trailing the rest of that pack right now.
Now, I want to pause it briefly here.
Okay.
So, like, between your initial observation and then when you start moving, is that when you checked your radar unit and then engaged your LiDAR unit?
When I'm sitting there, once they crest the hill and start coming down, I get them on radar. And at that point is when I got my spike at 40. And I observed that he was coming a little bit quicker than the rest of the car, so I grabbed my LiDAR at that time. It takes a split second to get that reading, and that's when I started moving. Just due to the amount of traffic that was there, I wanted
Wanted to make sure you had the right car.
and I wanted to make sure I didn't cause an accident with all these vehicles, so I
Okay,
started running out my lights on as quick as I could.
I'll continue.
Township.
2900 Sergeant Road, South Dakota Plate, William Union Nora, 80.
2900 Sergeant Road, left court.
That's me just honking my horn, trying to give them an indication I want.
We're still rolling.
Just, we're still moving 1140. Just, we're 1140.
We are pulling in 3605 Lincoln Way.
Jumper.
Hello? Been trying to pull you over for a while.
I didn't realize I did anything wrong.
You're speeding down South St. Alban?
You did.
Is this where you live right here? Speeding at 25, you're at 40.
No way.
Yeah.
That's posted down.
I was trying to pull you over, you were going past cars and...
Yeah, I thought you were trying to pull them over. I didn't even realize I had done anything wrong. I was coming home from
Alright, give your registration, insurance, driver's license. You didn't hear me honking at you or nothing like that?
Well, I did. I thought you were trying to get out of the way so you could get that other guy. I didn't know what was going on.
I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm on LiDAR. 38 instead of 69. But I did have him at 39 at one point.
Wait, driver, Henry George, John, East Forces.
And Nick, here's the stuff back for you. Like I said, I did 15 over. Okay, like I won't give you a ticket for 15. Yeah, 40 to 25. I won't give you a ticket for that. I'll give you a ticket for 5. It's a $120 difference. Okay. You gotta pay a little more attention. I was trying to pull you over and then going around cars. And...
There's no way I was doing that fast.
Okay.
Can you show me on where your radar?
Yep, I can show you on October 1st. It's your court date. All right, that's your court date. You can pay the ticket before then if you like. If you're gonna pay, you can sign any money and pay online or stop in person. It's not like I said. October 1st is your court date.
You're there, Mr. Dimitri.
Sounds good. Signature in the box, not Mr. McGill. So you're gonna go to court and pay for it.
No.
Here's the deal. This is acknowledgement to the judge that you're gonna go to court. If you don't sign it, they take you to jail for it. For speed?
Dude, this is a bull crap, man. I was going on the hill. If I was going that fast, I was because I let off the gas. And it might have coasted that fast.
I won't take you to jail for speed. This is acknowledging the judge that you're gonna go to court or pay your fine.
He wants me to sign this, otherwise I go to jail.
If he doesn't, this is an acknowledgement to the judge that he's gonna show up to his court date, we'll pay his fine. If he doesn't sign it, if he doesn't sign it, I have to take him to jail. I don't want to do that. This is the ticket. If he signs it, he's just acknowledging to the judge that he's going to go to court or pay his fine. Either one. But if he doesn't sign it, I have to take him to jail for speeding.
So it'll go 40
I have 40 to 25.
He can't show me on his radar.
I can't until your court date. Court date. I have to show you the court date. I can't show you evidence until a court date.
So that means you don't have it on your scanner.
I have it on my LiDAR.
Let's see it.
I have to show you the court date.
I got pulled over 2 years ago from an Iowa State
Tom,
trooper.
can you instruct me on the car?
He showed me.
Well, troopers hit within the city.
Yep. Put at 89.
I need to see what I did wrong. I can't find it if I don't know what I did.
Top 2 needs in the car. They're pulled into 3605 Lincoln Way. Circle.
$89.
I think it's saying I'm guilty by signing.
You're not saying guilty. You're acknowledging your court date to the judge. I just told you this is not acknowledgement of guilt. Yes. Yeah, no, you're fine. This is not an acknowledgement of guilt. This is saying you're... Okay, that's fine. Okay, yeah. No, you're good. Go ahead. I'm sure Dewey doesn't want to sign his ticket. Yes, if he's signing this, it's saying he's either going to pay the ticket or go to his court date. It's not pleading guilty.
It's not pleading guilty, that's what I did.
Okay. That's all I need you to do. I didn't touch your brake.
Somewhere, but it's not saying I'm guilty.
No, it's me telling you on record, recording, right here in my pocket. Yes. If I sign you a ticket, he's either going to go to court or pay his fine. No, that means he's guilty.
But they don't have to show up?
It's on your copy. It's on October 1st. No, his copy's in his car. I circled your court date.
You be there?
I will be there. I will be there. Tom's trying to send to you. He changed his mind. He didn't want to go to jail today. All right.
Zipper, do you want 89 to continue?
No. Well, I cut him a break. 15 over is a $179 ticket. I didn't write that ticket. He is very angry about his ticket.
Officer Dimitri, did all of these events occur entirely within the corporate limits of the city of Sioux City, Woodbury County, Iowa?
Yes.
And Your Honor, the city would move Exhibits 1 into evidence.
Exhibit 1's admitted.
No further questions, Your Honor. Approach intended.
Yes, please. Do you have any other questions for this witness for the city?
No, Your Honor, no further questions.
All right. Mr. Cook, do you have any questions for this witness?
I guess I don't know how the whole LiDAR radar thing works. Do you have the ability to like calibrate or do any kind of, I don't know, what's entailed with your testing that you had mentioned?
Any calibrations that are done have to be done at the lab in which it's made, so we cannot calibrate it, we can just do a functionality test. For the radar unit, we put it in test mode, we have tuning forks, and we hold the tuning forks in front of the unit, and it has to read, each tuning fork has a separate 25, 40, and 60 are the three that we have. As long as it reads that, it's working. The LiDAR unit, same thing, you put in a test mode. We have a certain spot we stand in the middle of the parking lot, and there's certain fixtures that we use. There's a building across the street and a light pole. One's 173 feet, one's 200 feet. And as long as you can measure it in the stationary mode, that's our test.
Do they have to be calibrated on a certain basis over a time period?
No, unless it's beginning to show that readings are wrong. When we're doing a functionality test, at that point we do have to send it back, but my units did not do that day.
And having a lot of traffic doesn't impede the performance or anything of those?
No, and that's why I used my LiDAR to verify what I was seeing.
Okay, I don't think I have any other questions outside of that.
Any redress by the city?
None, Your Honor.
Officer, you may step down.
The city rests, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cook, the city has rested. If you have evidence you wish to present, you may do so now. Be aware that the statement you read at the start of the trial is just that, a statement. It's not evidence. I can't consider any of it as evidence. So if you have other witnesses to call or some other kind of evidence, or if you wish to testify, you may do so now. Understand you don't have any obligation to put on any evidence, but if you want to do so, now's the time to do it.
I don't have any evidence. It was just what was seen in the video. The only reason that I came to the court appearance was because of the statement that I couldn't see the proof that I was speeding with that LiDAR reading, and he had mentioned that I had to show up here to see that. And I don't know, do you guys have that available to show me here, since that's why I came?
All I know is what I've been seeing. I haven't seen anything that represents the
So
reading of any machine.
I thought the evidence would have been that I would see that reading, so that's kind of why I'm here.
Do you care to respond?
Well, just a comment that, I mean, Mr. Cook had the opportunity to ask the officer when he was on the stand. I suppose he might, I don't know, procedurally, if he wants to call him back, I guess he can ask him that question.
Officer, do you have any way to show him either your radar or LiDAR reading at this time?
What I recall when I was on the stand,
You wanted to call him up, say it on the...
No, that's all right.
Okay.
what I recall when I was on the stand, I made a separate video after that one with the picture of the LiDAR because I forgot. Generally after my stops, I take a picture with my camera of the LiDAR unit. The unit, the traffic wasn't, the routine stop was obviously a little stressful because Mr. Cook was a little bit agitated. I forgot to do that, so I made a separate video after that one with the picture of my LiDAR unit. And I just recalled that while I was sitting there. That's my fault.
Do you have that video available?
I will try, Your Honor. I will
Caleb, maybe right after.
give it a shot. Okay. And I'm on Wi-Fi, Your Honor, just so you know.
I understand.
September 1st. Right? Yeah. Dimitri, you didn't clear the unit then before you did this
No, I
video?
had it sit right there. And that's when I looked down and saw that, I'm like, oh, and that's what made me.
So you don't do it this way normally, do
No,
you?
I don't normally do this.
Why did you end up doing it this way?
Myself, I was a little worked up after the stop as well, because that was not a routine traffic stop, usually everyone cooperates, so I was thinking about other things and not taking a picture of my LiDAR unit.
Okay.
This is a reference to the last stop, looking at LiDAR, I have them at 38 and 769.
Let me back it up.
38 and 769.
Okay. Come around. I don't want to move this. We'll show it to the judge if, so this is, what he testified about was when he got you with the laser unit, you had slowed apparently from 40 to 38, so he got you at 38 there. I can download this video, Your Honor, and I can put it on the USB drive that I just gave you.
That'd be great.
Let's put it on the desktop. PC. Let's go to desktop. Maybe.
This is what you're interested in seeing, Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Okay.
I can put it on the screen right now too.
If you can do that, that'd be
I think.
helpful.
My talents are vast, Your Honor, but they probably have limits too.
This is a reference to the last stop, looking at LiDAR, I have them at 38 and 769. I did have them at 40 on my radar unit, but I did not lock it in. I do have them locked in at 13 limits. And final.
So, Your Honor, just a comment, I guess, is a comment by the city then too. If the court wants to include the second video on exhibit number 1 that's already admitted into evidence, then I feel obligated to make a professional representation to the court that this was accessed on a system that I can access here that is that was on the same date and approximately the same time, because it was as the officer was driving away from the previous stop that was documented in the video that's already on exhibit 1. That I would professionally represent that this source would be the same, Your Honor.
All right. Well, the officer's still under oath. Officer, you've seen the video now. Is that the recording you made that you were talking about earlier, where a short time after the stop, you realized you hadn't recorded anything, so you made this recording of your LiDAR unit?
Yes.
All right. So this represents what you saw on the LiDAR unit when you measured the defendant's vehicle speed.
Yep, I never cleared it, so it was still there.
Let's see how quick this actually worked here. Okay, I've got the whole video, so if I could retrieve Cities 1, I will put that on there. Sesame.
All right, Mr. Cook, anything else you wish to add?
Not at this time.
Anything further on behalf of the city?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any closing comments, Mr. Gustafson?
I'll defer, Your Honor. Reserve the right to respond. I guess I'd make the usual argument that the city believes it's proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt, but I'd like to reserve the right to respond to whatever Mr. Cook has to say.
Mr. Cook, do you wish to make any type of closing argument?
Like I said, I just asked the officer to see the radar, and he wouldn't show me it at that point in time, and so I came to this trial so I could see proof of what he had accused me of, and that's all I have.
Any response by the city?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very well. The matter will be submitted. I want to review the videos again when I can see them closer up, and I'll get a written ruling out as soon as I can. Mr. Cook, I don't know if you're in the system electronically. If so, you'll receive a email notification. If you're not in the system electronically, they will mail you a copy of my ruling in the mail.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm in email that I know of anyway, so.
Okay, thank you. Parties are excused.